And there's my big skimmer. It's ASM G3. And you can see the cylinder where all the air is, and the siphon tube is pulling the air in as the water's moving around. And that's my collection cup. That just twists off, and you dump it into your toilet. Chemical filtration, additives to remove waste, active carbon and other absorbents, and vodka dosing. Vodka dosing is a huge thing now. It just came out. It's relatively new. It's not that new, but it's a new thing, and people are just going crazy over it. Now, vodka dosing is a source of carbon. It increases biomass, and it reduces nitrates and phosphates. It increases protein skim, increases water clarity, and can be dosed manually or by a dosing machine, and the charts are online. Basically, what it does, it gets the nitrates and the phosphates to bloom in the stuff, and that way, once it turns into bigger stuff like macromolecules, the skimmer is able to pick it up and pull it out of the system, and the water clarity is just incredible. It'll be crystal clear when vodka dosing starts working. And now vodka dosing and protein skim is a huge source of filtering salt water these days. And then here's the chart. You can figure it out. You can just go right online. I got it off of reefkeeping.com. I just bought a 4-channel doser from one of the sites. It was like $175. It comes with all the liquid chambers and all the lines, and you just dial it in, and it'll dose everything that you need. Here's the denitrification cycle for you guys that don't really know too much about how the waste is broken down in your tank. It's broken down from ammonia to nitrates, and nitrates is consumable to plants and stuff. And once the plants start growing, they reduce all that. So with a well-mature cycle tank, all the bacteria and stuff will do all that breaking down of the waste, and then you just got to remove the nitrates through water changes or other forms of biological filterization. It reduces waste naturally. Refugiums, live rock, live sand, macroalgae, deep sand beds, excessive live rock and sump, because a lot of people put it in there. And bioballs should be replaced with live rock. All this stuff either helps break down and reduces nitrates in the system. Bioballs aren't that great. If you ever use an old drip tower or something like that, don't use plastic. Get that stuff out of there and use live rock. It works 100% better. Refugiums are a fuge is a separate tank connected to the system. It doesn't necessarily have to be a separate tank. They have all kinds of styles, stuff that hangs on the back of your tank. Now, you get a little pump. It pumps it back and forth. And they all work do a tremendous job on it. It allows organisms to maintain survival that wouldn't survive in the main tank, like all kinds of little bugs, houses animals, and photosynthesizers that help reduce waste. Little bugs that are eating all the fish poop and waste, and the plants that are, again, removing all that nitrogen that the animals are putting in the system, and it's being broken down. Now, it takes a while to mature, not like some of the other stuff, like the mechanical. You're not collecting it. You're waiting for it to naturally be broken down. So a lot of times you have to wait for your refugiums to mature and start taking some of the waste out of the water. And it's also a natural food source for systems. A lot of times the copepods and stuff that are growing in there get flushed into the main tanks, and they are a great source of protein for your fish and other inverts and corals. Here's a mangrove system. It's removing, and some turtle grass I actually took from Jersey. It was a big metal halide on there. It's flowing out of there. The blue barrel on the bottom is filled with live rock and stuff. Here's another 29 gallons, little 20 high. You can see the deep sand bed with the refugium. all the macroalgae and stuff that are growing in there. Live rock. Live rock is a lightweight, porous ocean rock. It's popular with diverse bacteria and organisms like copepods, bristleworms, sea cucumbers, fan worms. All this stuff is living on there, breaking it down. All the nooks and crannies, it's got all these nooks and crannies that hold all this bacteria. It's mostly water. If you ever, it absorbs a lot of water. So it's breaking all this stuff down and removing it. So it's not necessarily live rock, but all the stuff that lives on it, they consider live rock. And it contains polytoxins. So that's poisonous. So if you're ever working with live rock and stuff, people wear gloves. I don't wear gloves. Most people don't wear gloves. There's a diversity in behaviors and colors. There's all types of behaviors. Algae eaters, sand movers, predatory coral eaters, symbiotic relationships like pistol shrimps and gobies. And there's just super intense tropical colors. Purple fire, here's some of the different fish that you'll see. Top left corner is a purple fire fish. That guy that looks to the right of him looks like a mimic blenny or some sort. A hippo tang, you got your clownfish. The two below there, that's the Imperator angel. That's a juvenile, and then he turns into the guy on the right. You got your psychedelic blenny on the left, yellow tang, and this guy looks like a jawfish. That guy, the jawfish are really neat because they actually make little burrows under a rock. And I had one. He would make a burrow, and then every night he would close it up with little gravel rocks and stuff. The whole barrel would be closed, and he would go to sleep. It's pretty neat. So, and then we got invertebrates. We have crabs, all kinds of crabs. We got hermits. We got emeralds. Pom-poms are little guys that hold anemones and eat stuff out of the water. Shrimps, we got cleaners, sexies, pistols. Pistol shrimps pair up with your gobies. They make little burrows under a rock. You have cucumbers that sand sift. Everybody's seen a sea cucumber, I hope. We have all kinds. You have filter feeders that actually take in nutrients out of the water, or you have ones that eat right out of the sand. Same with starfish, sea urchins, snails, and octopus. Your emerald crab, he controls hair algae. You have your sexy shrimp. And then you have some kind of sea cucumber down there. And now you have your corals. You have soft, large polyp stony and small polyp stonies. Soft corals are least demanding. They're low to medium light, and they can take a minimal water flow. There's all kinds of mushrooms and leathers and zoanthids and all that kind of stuff. But they don't need a lot. They're least demanding. You don't have to add calcium or any of that stuff. So basically, they're just taking stuff out of the water. There's your. This is a leather. This is a toadstool leather. They get big, but he might take a little bit more flow and a little bit more light, but they're not super hard. In large polyp stonies, medium intensity of light. They require calcium and a medium amount of water flow. They are just a colony. They create a colony of these large polyps that come out and feed off the light. They do make a skeleton. They are calcareous, so they got to take in calcium to build their skeleton. And there's a candy cane coral coming out of my tank with a bar goby in front of them. And they just make these little polyps. They come out and feed off your light. And corals also grow algae in their tissues, and they feed off of that, zooanthella. And they're growing their own. They're photosynthetic, and they're growing their own food inside them. Small polyp stonies, they require a high light, a high water flow. They need clean water and stable water parameters. There's nothing that nobody can't keep. If you're going to, you know, if you're going to keep these guys, you might need a little bit bigger setup. You're definitely going to need some biological filterization, maybe a fuge. Fuges, you know, again, help keep the water clean, and they feed a lot of these corals. And this is a acro and a Monty. That's a Capricornus in the back. You can see all the little small polyps that are coming out and feeding off of that. T5s were the big thing a few years ago. Now LEDs are just what you can afford, you know. Everybody loves them. They do all kinds of stuff. You know, all kinds of light patterns and stuff. They are cheaper in price now. So people are going with that. You know, T5s are great. You could change all kinds of colors with them, but people are leaning more towards the LEDs now. But metal halide are still some of the best lighting you can get, but people shy away from them because of the expensive, people say, of running these huge metal halides and stuff. But SPS and stuff do really well under metal halides. Water movement is huge, especially in the reef tank. You know, again, you want the water to be moving around. It increases oxygen in the water column. It makes your filters more efficient. The stuff can't be picked up by your filters if it's not being moved around a lot. And there's a few things that can move the water for you. You have power heads. You have a closed loop system, which is pretty much some kind of a source from the tank down to a pump, return right from the pump. It doesn't touch anything else. So basically you're moving water from the tank to a pump and right back to the tank. And usually drill them in the back lower part of your tank. And if you don't have all that stuff, a lot of times we do what everybody else does when you first start out with salt water. You get a turkey baster, and after every day you get home from work, you feed your fish. You go in there and you blow your stuff around, all your crap around, try to get it up off your rocks and whatever you have in there, so your filters can pick it up. There's all kinds of, you know, there's a few things you might want to do, calcium trace elements, phytoplanktons for your clams or some stuff. If you're not positive that you need it, don't dose it. I mean, you can create a lot of problems if you don't know what you're doing. If you're trying to keep just fish and you got one rock in there and you're like trying to get purple algae on the rock core line, and you're dosing the heck out of it with calcium, and you're not really keeping up with it, you know, you could create some problems like that. You could trigger some kind of a fanworm population or something on the rocks, and stuff ain't, a lot of times it doesn't hurt, but a lot of people say it's unsightly. Marine aquariums are just a little bit more depth than freshwater. Personally, the biggest difference in having a saltwater versus a freshwater is basically you got to make saltwater now, and I mean that's the basic thing. I think it's a pain in the ass. You can't just take it straight out of the tap. Unless you're Long Island Aquarium, they take it right out of the estuary up there, spin around a big drum, and they take microbes out of it that way. And any of you guys can do it, you know. I would like to thank Paul Sherman. He's not here tonight. Paul made me commit myself to this talk, and he motivated me, and I thank him for that. And my wife Tasha, who had to retype this presentation twice because we lost it on the computer the first time. She has a lot of patience, and I'm computer illiterate. Thank you, Tasha.